Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm focusing on if it's worth it or not to buy tier 1 guitars, or what I call tier 1 guitars being sub $100 guitars. And I did a video, one video, 2 videos ago, focusing on that, on assessing the market, specifically on Amazon, and I broke down the usual suspects that are in these categories, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 2 being the low 100s, can maybe even, touch $200. And then tier 3 being the next tier up, right? $200 to $300 guitars. But in any event, I listed the brands in each in my experience with those brands. And what I want to focus on today is it even worth it to go with tier 1 guitars if you don't have a specific reason? Now, the reason that you probably would go with these sub $100 guitars, the Gear ITs, the Fogials, the Groats, and the RJ guitars most recently, right? Would most likely be, and would make sense to me, is if you're going to mod those guitars or if you want to learn on them to work on them without, destroying something that's worth a lot of money. Where you're going to go in, dive in, dissect the guitar, take out the pickups, maybe, use them for some other project, or learn how to do, fret work on a guitar, leveling frets, whatever the case might be. You don't want to spend a ton of money. You want to get something that's relatively inexpensive. So if you do screw it up while you're learning how to work on these guitars, it's not a big deal. Those 2 reasons, I would say, yeah, it makes sense to buy those sub $100 guitars. But if you're like myself, right, where you're not a professional player, you're just hacking on the guitar because you enjoy it, you're a hobbyist, right? You don't have any real luthier skills. You have no desire to mod these guitars. You want to kind of play them as is. It really doesn't make sense to go and waste your money and waste your time on these sub $100 guitars. Again, in my opinion and my experience. What probably would make a hell of a lot more sense is to forget that, just skip that whole tier, and start out with something that's like one of these 2 guitars. Now let me take this guitar for example. This is a Squire Affinity, obviously, Telly style guitar, right? Now this one is a little bit more money because now you have the flamed maple veneer top that's on this particular model, and you have the humbucker pickup. So it's an enhanced Telecaster, right? But you can get this exact model, which is the Squire Affinity, with the typical Telly configuration, which would be a lipstick single type pickup at the neck and this inset pickup at the bridge. Without this top, right, with just a plain top, and I believe they're poplar today. That's what they're made out of. For $249, right? That's what they're going for, $249.99. And if you look hard enough for an open box or slightly used, because they're fairly newer models anyway, you can probably get them for under $200. Probably get them for anywhere between $180 and $199 for an Affinity, a plain Affinity. Now, what you're getting with the guitar is, at least it's a branded name to some extent, being a Squire, right? Fender Squire. So if you do decide to give up playing the guitar and you want to trade it in at a store or sell it, right? You're going to get at least something back for your money. And you'll might, in some cases, if you pay the right price, get close to what you paid for the guitar back. The other thing you're going to get is a better build quality on the guitar. More than likely, you're not going to have a complete, cheese shredder in terms of the neck. Although a lot of these budget guitars now are coming with the rounded fret ends. Sometimes they are rounded, but they're not very even, or they're still high. But you're more than likely going to get something that's a little bit better quality out of the box, right? Hopefully you're not going to get sharp fret ends. I got nothing such with this guitar. They were perfect. You're going to get better stock quality pickups. Now, albeit the stock pickups on these Affinities are not, professional grade pickups by any stretch, but they're fine. They're not microphonic. They sound decent. And for my case, my abilities, they're more than adequate. I have no intention or need to replace these pickups. The tuners that come with the guitar are decent tuners, right? They hold tune. They're not sticky. They're not plucky where they're gonna go flat or go sharp on you while you're playing, or very difficult to keep in tune. For the most part, they work. Now, if you need to replace them because you want to put on locking tuners for whatever reason, you can certainly do that. But I don't find any reason that you have to. The neck is smooth, right? It's not uneven. It's symmetrical. The nut is cut properly on the guitar. And in a lot of cases, when you go with that sub $100 instrument, you're going to get nuts that are cut ridiculously poorly, right? Causing string buzzing or causing a host of other problems. You're going to get the saddles, in a lot of cases, are not set up properly. The necks have shims in them in some cases, right, as well, that cause issues. So intonating a very, very low-end guitar and keeping it in tune can be a major struggle or a major challenge. And if you're just learning how to play the guitar or a hobbyist, you don't want to be bothered with that stuff. And if you have to take it to a guitar shop, right, your local guitar shop, to get these things remedied, the high frets, the bad nut, maybe a bridge adjustment because you don't know how to do it, they're going to charge you for a full setup, which in a lot of cases is going to be more expensive than what you paid for your guitar in the first place. So where are your savings? So I would say that if you're in that, position, right, like myself, where, you're just playing guitar for your own enjoyment, you're not necessarily playing out, you're not recording, you're a hobbyist, you don't have any specific guitar skills, right? You don't want to have guitar skills. You kind of want to buy something out of the box to be able to play it. Again, I would start with something more similar to this than a sub $100 guitar, quite frankly, unless your desire is to work on that guitar or to rip it apart and put whatever you want to put in that guitar to mod it. Now, similarly, this is another guitar that is a Strat style guitar. Right? This is a Sterling by Music Man. Brand new. This guitar is $199.99, right? So it's $199, I think, even. So it's not an expensive guitar. Now, if you look for these on eBay close enough or Reverb, occasionally you'll see them used or open box for $170, $180. And they're not going to be too much below the price because they're fairly new models. But at that price, the quality of this guitar is significantly better than what you're going to find in these Strat style guitars on Amazon that are sub $100 guitars, or even prices that are nearing this price, quite frankly. Again, you're getting a maple neck, a maple fretboard, frets that are in decent shape out of the box. They're not rounded, but they're fine to play. The tuners on here are exceptional, actually, for stock tuners on this guitar, at least. The pickups are ceramic pickups, just like on that guitar, but they're okay. They don't need to be replaced by any stretch. They're better, I'll guarantee you, than the ones you're going to find on these sub $100 guitars. They're not microphonic. They're not squealy. The bridge is a superior bridge, actually, on this particular guitar, this Sterling. It works great. It's stable. Again, I'm not a tremolo player, but it's a lot better than the inexpensive ones that you're getting on the sub $100 guitars. The pots are good. There's actually you're gonna hear a difference in the levels of tone and volume on these as opposed to on these other low end guitars where it goes from 0 to 1 on you in terms of variance. The switches are solid. Just, a better made instrument for slightly more money. So again, I know this stuff is common sense, but as Mark Twain said, common sense is not very common, and I'm guilty of that as well. In a lot of cases, that low price just grabs you in, yanks you in, and makes you want to buy something. But again, depending upon what your motives are out of the box, out of the chute, might not be the wisest decision. And I'm going to try to refrain from buying those Gearets at $54 and the RJs at $99.99, thinking that I'm going to get a hidden, a diamond in the rough. Because in most cases, you're getting rough, not diamonds. Yeah, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Again, depending upon what your particular desires and needs are, I think it might be better just to stay with something slightly more expensive than those really low-end bottom feeders, if you're truly wanting to play an instrument with the least amount of hassle and frustrations up front. And there are plenty of good deals at the $200, $150 to $200 range. Again, I just referenced these two because I had them quickly at my disposal, and there's one's a Squire and one is a Squire Affinity, and the other one is a Sterling Cutlass. It's the intro series. But you have Tees guitars that make very good value guitars as well. There are a host of others that are out there. Yamaha makes some decent guitars, Strat style guitars. Again, they're slightly more money. But yeah, I just mentioned these because they were at my disposal. But the premise is going to be the same, right? What are your thoughts, guys? If you have any questions or disagree or comments or whatever, stick them below. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. If you like these videos, please subscribe. And as always, until the next time, be well and stay safe. Take care.